Long before the sold-out stadiums and major record deals that would define a generation of metal, there was a garage in Richmond, California. A raw, chaotic, and untamed energy was brewing, a sound so unapologetically aggressive, it would claw its way out of the Bay Area and change the very DNA of heavy metal forever. This isn't just the story of a band hungry for success, it's the story of the early pioneers of thrash and the painstaking, troubled creation of their timeless, brutal masterpiece. While many people focus on the thrash Big Four, many fans and musicians from that era will tell you that Exodus was the true ground zero for the scene's ferocity. It's a point often argued by diehards and scene veterans before other bands perfected their sound. They were taking notes from the raw, untamed violence of an Exodus live show. And in today's video, because you guys requested it, we're going to take a look at Exodus's debut album, Bonded by Blood. Our story kicks off not in some gleaming professional studio, but in the gritty suburbs of Richmond, California, way back to 1979. This was about 2 years before Lars and James of Metallica met each other for the first time in LA. While the world was vibing to the rebellion of punk rock and melodic intricacies of the new wave of British heavy metal, a few high school kids were in a garage cooking up something way more volatile. The first version of Exodus was thrown together by future Metallica guitarist Kirk Hammett and fellow guitarist Tim Agnello, with the powerhouse Tom Hunting on drums and an early vocalist named Keith Stewart. Like most young bands, the lineup was a revolving door, a constant search for the right chemistry and the right level of aggression. But then a pivotal figure entered the picture, a figure whose influence would become the band's very foundation. Hammett had a friend who would come hang out and roadie for the band at their backyard parties. That friend was Gary Holt. Holt recalled, "I was a roadie, you can't call it a tech because I didn't even tune the guitar. I carried their gear into the backyard party and then got drunk and smoked lots of weed. And then, carried it out." Hammett, seeing a kindred spirit, started teaching his buddy how to play guitar, showing him his first chords. It was a mentorship born out of friendship. Then in 1981, when guitarist Tim Agnello left, Holt stepped in, grabbing the second guitar, and with it, the creative soul of the band. His vision, his relentlessly heavy riffs, and his take-no-prisoners attitude became the undeniable heart of Exodus' sound. Holt told John Wiederhorn, "The Kirk era of Exodus was definitely thrash, but it had a lot more Iron Maiden-ish bent to it. Tom Hunting used to play drums and sing because we couldn't find a singer at first." Holt added that in the band's early days, some members of Exodus and their manager stole equipment from another band because they were unhappy with their own gear. While Holt wasn't in the band at this very specific point in time, they did store their equipment at his parents' house, where they also held band rehearsals. It was former member Tim Agnello who reported them out of anger, leading to everyone getting caught. Holt ended up spending one night in juvenile hall after being found with some of the stolen items. Then in 1982, vocalist Paul Baloff joined the group. Baloff wasn't just a singer, he was a human hurricane. His stage presence was a whirlwind of pure manic energy, the perfect snarling face for the sonic chaos that the band was unleashing. He was known to be unpredictable, a true force of nature on stage, and his aggressive bark was the polar opposite of the clean, soaring vocals dominating mainstream rock at the time. This wasn't about fantasy or rock gods, this was about pure, unfiltered, street-level aggression. The members met Baloff at an outdoor party that Exodus was playing. There was another band on the same bill, and Baloff was friends with those guys. Holt recalled, "Paul couldn't sing at all, but he was more metal than anybody I'd ever met. We believed in him, so he became our vocalist, and he became the guy many people still consider the voice of the band, even though he only sang on one studio record." With the addition of Baloff in 1982, the band cut a 3-song demo tape featuring the songs Whipping Queen, Death and Domination, and Warlord. A key moment went down in November of 1982 when Exodus opened for a then unknown band from LA called Metallica at the old Waldorf in San Francisco. It was a passing of the torch, though nobody knew it at the time. The show was a perfect snapshot of the scene's cross-pollination, where ideas, riffs, and even members were swapped in the great quest for a heavier sound. Of course, the most famous lineup change in the scene's history would directly involve these two bands when Exodus' own Kirk Hammett left to join Metallica in 1983, a move that would alter the course of metal forever. Kirk recalled to John Wiederhorn, "We were all looking for the most extreme stuff, and back when I was in Exodus, the most popular music was Merciful Fate, Venom, Motorhead. Then this band came into town called Metallica. That was a sound that everyone was looking for, but no one could actually execute until Metallica came along and showed everyone how to do it. Hammett ended up quitting Exodus on April 11th, 1983, and replaced Dave Mustaine.
Guitarist Rick Hunolt would end up replacing Hammett.
Gary Holt recalled to John Wiederhorn that when Hammett told the guys he was leaving, they actually had a big party for him, and there was no bad blood between them. It also presented a new opportunity. Up until this point, Exodus was Kirk's band, and with the lineup change, it meant that Holt was going to be in the driver's seat, with him adding, "I was able to point the band in the direction Paul and I wanted, which was more violent and brutal and faster." Within a week of Kirk leaving, Holt wrote the songs Strike of the Beast and No Love. They didn't know it yet, but they were working on bringing a new sound to the thrash metal world. Exodus wasn't born in a vacuum. They were the product of one of the most fertile and downright competitive music scenes in history, the Bay Area thrash scene. The scene was a response to the popularity of hair metal. The scene, along with some bands from LA like Slayer and Megadeth, served as a counterculture. This wasn't just a bunch of bands, it was a brotherhood forged in sweat-soaked clubs, tape trading circles, and a shared rehearsal space. They were all locked in unspoken arms race, pushing each other to get faster, heavier, and more extreme. Every new demo, every new song, every jaw-dropping live show, it was a constant battle to raise the bar. Holt told John Wiederhorn, "I think the thrash bands and the hair metal bands needed each other. We were mutual enemies, and it gave us ammunition. They were the pretty boys in the makeup, and we were the guys in the denim vests with Motorhead patches on the back. But by the same token, we always went to the hairband shows because we knew that's where the girls were. So we appreciated them at the same time as we hated them." Exodus soon became infamous for their wild and unpredictable and downright violent live shows that left audiences stunned. Holt admitted that Exodus was notorious for outrageous, mischievous behavior at parties, acting like troublemakers while hiding behind innocent appearances. By 1984, Exodus had paid their dues. They had sharpened their sound in the clubs, built a fanatical local following, and in March of '84, the band entered the studio with producer Doug Piercy to record a demo known as the Turk Street Tapes. They laid down 5 songs that found their way onto their first album. The demo, however, wasn't fully finished, and it was long rumored that the band just ran out of money, but that wasn't the case. Holt told Louder Sound, "Now, what happened was that we got a deal with New York label Tord, and so there was no need for us to finish off the songs with Doug. It's as simple as that. I love the story about us being strapped for money, though. It would have been typical of us at the time," he remarked. It was during this time that the band was set to unleash their definitive statement on the world. In the summer of that year, the band hit Prairie Sun Studios to record their debut album.
The twin guitar attack of Holt and Hunolt, soon to be known as the H-Team,
was a finely tuned riff machine, and the band was on fire, capturing their live energy with startling efficiency. But then disaster struck. The road to releasing what would become Bonded by Blood was plagued by setbacks that critically altered its piece in history. The album, originally titled A Lesson in Violence, was fully recorded, but faced a series of infuriating delays. The band later explained that the issues with the record label, who was new and figuring things out, was a major hurdle. On top of that, they hit a wall with the artwork. The first cover design, in Gary Holt's own words, was crap, adding all purples and crazy colors. Holt remarked how they hired a hippie to do all the artwork, with him regretting that decision. But I do want to point out the same artist did do one good thing for the band. He designed their logo. This creative clash, combined with the need for a new concept and title to offset the number of poor quality bootleg tapes already circulating, caused even more delays. The replacement cover, the now iconic image of 2 conjoined good and evil twins, was created, but precious time had been lost. These delays added up to a crushing 9 months, and it was devastating. An advanced cassette copy of the album had already been circulating in the tape trading underground, creating a massive buzz, but the official release kept getting pushed. The album was finally unleashed in April of '85, but by then Metallica had already dropped Ride the Lightning and Slayer had unleashed Hell Awaits. Megadeth had also unleashed their debut record a month after Exodus as well. Exodus, the undisputed pioneers, were suddenly seen as latecomers to the party that they had helped start. But surprisingly, the members don't have regrets about it. Holt told Wiederhorn, "I don't have any sour grapes about what happened. We had a lot of fun doing Bonded by Blood at the studio about 90 miles north of San Francisco, and we were living there in these cabins for 2 weeks while we recorded. We had a steady stream of friends coming up for parties, windows got broken, fights broke out everywhere. The guy who owned the place was mortified." Despite the infuriating delays, the second the needle dropped on Bonded by Blood, it was clear that this was something different. This wasn't just another metal album, it was a declaration of war. From the opening riff of the title track, the album is a relentless 40-minute assault of speed, aggression, and technical precision. The guitar work of the H-Team set a new standard for thrash. These riffs were a brutal, intricate dance, weaving complex palm-muting patterns at blinding speeds to create a wall of sound that was both punishing and unforgettable. And then there was Paul Baloff. His vocals aren't just sung, they're spat, snarled, and screamed with a terrifying conviction that feels genuinely dangerous. Tracks like A Lesson in Violence and Strike of the Beast are pure untamed thrash. They have a raw, dangerous quality that many of their peers were already starting to polish away. Bonded by Blood sounds like it was recorded in the back alley during a fist fight, not a sterile studio. It's the sound of a band with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Years later, Holt looked back on the album with total pride, stating, "I listen to it now and know it's the finest record of our career. I genuinely think it's the best album to come out of the whole thrash era, and I'm including Rain and Blood. Everything about it's right, not just for that time, but for all time." Though its release was troubled, the legacy of Bonded by Blood is undeniable. It's the cornerstone of thrash metal, a sacred text that influenced legions of bands across the globe. You can hear it in its DNA, not just in thrash, but in all the waves of extreme metal that came after it. Its raw aggression and speed set a new benchmark for what heavy could be. Its influence is still felt today. You can hear it in the echoes of razor-sharp riffs in countless modern metal bands. Some have even made the influence even more direct. A modern thrash band even took the name Bonded by Blood as a direct tribute to the album's power. The album proved that while timing might affect initial sales, true quality is always eternal. It remains a rite of passage for any aspiring metalhead, a raw document of time when a new sound was being violently forged in the fires of the Bay Area. From a garage in Richmond to the world stage, the story of Exodus's early years is the story of thrash metal itself. Bonded by Blood is their definitive, explosive statement, a perfect storm of speed, aggression, and youthful fury that has never been duplicated. It may have been delayed, but its influence was unstoppable. In the end, perhaps Gary Holt said it best: "If my career as a musician is measured in terms of that one record alone, then I won't complain. Not everyone gets to make a classic." I would never say that we invented metal or even thrash metal, but we certainly played our part, and I would claim that Bonded by Blood is the classic thrash album. Baloff's time in the band was short-lived though. Despite his popularity amongst fans, persistent rumors and anecdotal accounts point to personality conflicts and perhaps reliability concerns as factors in Exodus's choice to move forward without him. Band members and those close to the group described Baloff as gifted and loyal, although he was sometimes unpredictable, and that made sustained collaboration challenging.
Baloff ended up being fired from Exodus in 1986, shortly after the release of Bonded by Blood. He was replaced by Steve Zetro Souza, while Baloff spent the following years performing with other local bands. Then in 1997, Baloff rejoined Exodus for a reunion tour and helped release the live album Another Lesson in Violence. But the band soon dissolved again due to conflicts with the record label. Exodus reformed once more in 2001 with Baloff as the frontman, but his comeback was brief. He suffered a stroke in early 2002 and died at the age of 41, ending his time with the band and leaving a significant legacy in thrash metal.
But what do you guys think? Where does Bonded by Blood rank amongst the greatest debut albums in metal history? Is it the most important album of the Bay Area scene? And what's your favorite track? That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.